Today's heading is the 3 major destructive periods for the human world. To discuss about that, we need to start from the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect. We all know from the Buddhist point of view, every cause has an effect, and everything arises out of a cause or a conditions, a set of conditions produced, event, a situation, a state. This cause and effect is a universal law in the mundane world. So whenever something arises, there's a cause or causes, more precisely. Not just one cause, many causes. Some causes are very close to the event. Causes that are close. And some causes are very far from the cause in terms of period. You can call it far cause, close cause. Or you can also define with the primary cause, which is the self-explanatory, the word primary. And there are secondary causes. And also there are tertiary causes. There are so many causes. And also there is always one cause, we call it the proximate cause. It's a cause that triggered the event. The most immediate cause to the situation or event. So there are many causes produce an effect or a situation or an event. Also, in general, all these sets of causes, we also use the word condition. Okay? Condition. Based on a certain set of conditions, something arises or produced or happen. So, that is a universal law in the mundane world, okay? Both physical and mental. So based on these causes, things happen, and there was one story arises. Okay. You can call it a sutta or sutra or discourse. Buddha talk about it. And it is based on a monk eating his meal and a few grains of rice dropped onto the floor. They are eating and the rice dropped. And when Buddha saw that, based on that event, based on that incident, Buddha gives a Dhamma talk or discourse. So, a grains of rice, a few grains of rice dropped while the monks eating. And the Buddha said, first and foremost, of course, one should not spill that kind of thing. And the Buddha explained the value of a grain of rice. Okay, of course, there's a grain of rice dropped onto the floor, but look at the value of this grain of rice. That grain of rice, first and foremost, to get it, for you to get it, you have to go to an alms round to collect it. An hour or two, you work, you come. And also, the people who donated this grain of rice, they have to cook, first of all. And to cook, you have to have it in your house. In other words, you have to go and buy it. Okay. You need money. And also, the people who are selling at the merchants, they also have to do a lot of job and a lot of work. Okay, go to the field, buy wholesale, come back and sell retail. And also, the people who sold it, the farmers, they have to plow the field, grow the crops. It takes them about 4 months to harvest and to be able to sell it. So if you look at all these things, that grain of rice simply doesn't just come in front of you. There are so many people involved, so much effort involved, so much work involved, so many jobs involved. Here's you, and then there's a householder, and the cook, and people who go and look for money for the family, they have to work. And then the merchants, the jobs, the action, the energy, effort, the farmers, and so on. If you look at it, and even the farmers, they are at the mercy of the climate, which is rain and sun and so on, the right temperature. That much involved. Simply, this little grain of rice doesn't pop up there, and if you look at it, it's a whole series. In one way, Buddha is showing all the causes that's required or needed for that grain of rice that spill onto the floor. And if you look at it, you can see how valuable this grain of rice is. There are near cause, far cause, primary cause, secondary cause, tertiary cause, and the proximate cause. What is the proximate cause? Is the monk who was eating dropped it. That's trigger it, and that trigger the causes. So it shows how much, how many causes, a whole set of consideration is needed for that grain of rice. And also how much work and effort and energy are invested for the grain of rice. So one should not waste at all. If you look at it, what Buddha is teaching us, he's teaching us about the value of anything and everything that we are utilizing. Okay, the value, that's the first thing. And he shows the value not in terms of money, he shows the value how much energy and effort and amount of people and period and time involved to produce it. He also shows us there. And also he also taught us not to waste at all. Wasting is something that is a wrongful deed. Don't waste. Even a grain of rice or whatever there is. There are so many lessons Buddha is teaching us based on that. And that sutra came out. And the name is the value of a grain of rice. Not to waste all the conditions and the effects and the changeless, how everything is. So if you look at it, everything is cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. Sets of conditions need something to arise, something to happen. Conditions. So these conditions, in Pali there's also a word called patana. Patana. Patana is, in fact, it is a very highly honored segment of Buddhism. In Buddhism there are 3 groups. One is the Vinaya, rules and regulations and disciplines of a monk. That's a one huge volume. And another one is Discourses, Sutra. Buddha's talk with like stories like this, many. And the third one is called Abhidhamma. Abhidhamma is called higher teaching. In there, he never used as a person, no personalization. Everything is phenomenon, process, cause, effect. Everything. And Abhidhamma, there are 7 volumes, and the last volume is called Patthana. Okay. It is the complex interrelationship of conditions for a physical process, a physical phenomenon or mental phenomenon to arise. Intricacy. So that Patthana is the last volume of Abhidhamma, and it is highly complex, intricate, related. But in other words, that's Patthana. Okay? Patthana is simply about everything, anything happening in the daily life of everyone. That's it. It is so profound, and at the same time, it explains everything what is happening to a person in everyday life, every moment. That's called Patthana. Conditions, okay, a set of conditions. And to put it in a different way, it is cause and effect, but it's not just simply just one to the other, intricate sets of conditions. That's Patthana. So, in here, Buddha talks in many different ways. Okay, he gave us this story of a value of a grain of rice. And how one should live, how one should conduct through the relationship of cause and effect. And in here, he explained one thing. One thing is, in all the things that we are doing, if you want to put it in one little sentence, all starts with saddha, confidence, and faith and confidence, and all ends with pinya, okay, insight or wisdom. Everything starts with faith and confidence, and everything ends with insight or wisdom. So in here, we all know, as we are meditator, we all know the 5 controlling mental faculties. What is that? Okay. Faith and confidence, effort, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. That's the 5 controlling mental faculties. Start with saddha, faith and confidence, and ends with wisdom and insight. So we've been talking so often, we knew and we know by heart. But that set of starting with faith and ends with wisdom is for bhavana. Bhavana is the mental development, mental culture, meditation practice. Okay? This bhavana, meditation and practice, okay, this 5 controlling mental faculties, the end road is the end of all physical and mental suffering, or nibbana. That's it. But in a huge, billions and billions of people, only a handful of people are actually trying and working in that way. Okay? That beginning with faith and end with wisdom, bhavana, through the path of bhavana, it ends up in nibbana. That's the road. But there's a huge collection of people, 99.9999999. They are not there, they are not on the road. And for them the Buddha gives the same kind of a sentence. you begin with saddha, faith and confidence, and you end with wisdom or intelligence, pinya. But in here, the five that they weave is different. First and foremost is saddha, faith and confidence. Okay? And after the saddha is sila. Sila is morality, second aspect. And the third aspect is sutta. Sutta is basically listening, learning, like we going to school, going to university, studying, that's sutta. Actually, precise meaning is called hearing. In the olden days, it is by oral teaching. Now is later writing, and now is recording, and now is CD, electronic. Everything is eventually you listen. So sutta, through the books, through the electronic media, listening and learning basically. So saddha, sila, sutta. And the fourth one is called saga. Saga is not simply charity, okay? Charity and generosity. It's about knowing how to manage your finance or wealth. Okay? Knowing how to manage your finance and wealth. And if you remember, I don't know whether it's a series or Dhamma talk number 1 or 2, we have talked in details about this saga in details. So we won't repeat it here. But in here is, in general, what is this? Knowing how to manage your finance or wealth. Is not only that you make money and not only that you are spending it for yourself. There's one key aspect that comes in there is sharing and giving, generosity in there, dana. Dana is under that topic of saga. Saga is, let's call budgeting or financial management of yourself and your family. But in there plays a big role. The base role is in the budgeting and finance, which is not covered, is sharing, giving, generosity. In Buddhism, under budgeting, that also play a major role. Okay? How big a major role it plays is, let's take an example that can cover every aspect. Let's say one is very poor, extremely poor. It really have to struggle enough so that he can eat 2 meals a day. That's it. Whatever effort they are putting and whatever that they are able to earn can only put 2 meals a day. Even that, not sufficiently. It's the basic level of eating. Okay. So, in other words, that person is very poor. Even to that poor person, this saga, budgeting, applies. And also generosity, sharing, and giving is applied. How can this such a poor person, okay, who could hardly have enough food to eat, can give and share? So the way it's said is, fine. Okay, if you can put out 1 spoonful of rice, will that be a great effect in it? No, it won't be. So what you do was, when the monks go for an alms round, take a spoonful of rice that you are going to eat from your lunchbox and put it into the monks. And that's it. That is called charity, generosity, giving, sharing. That is how important the Buddha emphasized about sharing, giving, generosity into it under the topic of budgeting and financing. Why? Why she put so much emphasis so that it covers everybody? Nobody can say, I don't have it, but there's always something you can give. The main reason it is not that you can give a 1 spoonful or half a spoonful of rice. If you are doing it every day, it develops a habit. It develops a habit. It develops a certain mental state that you want to share, you want to give. That's a key part. Giving is just a matter of exercise, doing repeatedly, doing, giving 1 spoonful of rice. But throughout that process, you give for a month, you give for a year, you give for 5 years, the habit, in other words, the feeling of wanting to give, wanting to share, generosity develop in the mind of that person. That's a key point. It's developing a good habit. So that one, saga. And finally, after saga is called wisdom, pinya. But in here, pinya means don't think about the true nature of mind and matter, or all the insights and vipassana and so on. No, it is simply a intelligence, smart and sharp enough to know how to live your life properly, wholesomely and correctly, to avoid what is wrong and to do what is right. That is pinya. For this set of people, that pinya is simply an intelligence to know how to live correctly, avoiding what is wrong and doing what is right. So that set is given. So to repeat it again, saddha, faith and confidence. Secondly, sila, morality or precepts. And thirdly, sutta, learning, studying. Okay. And fourth, saga, know how to budget properly. And one of the major segments is sharing and giving, generosity. And finally, if you work all these four, you will come to have or own the intelligence to live, how to live your life and your family's life correctly and properly. That's a set of 5. For most of the people, that's a set it's gift. So in here, the Buddha just doesn't teach people to how to meditate and go to Nibbana, end of suffering. He knows that that's only a handful can do or want to do. And for the rest of the people, there's a lot in Buddha's teaching he has shared with us and taught us in many ways. So in here, let's see faith and confidence. Why is it important? Okay, we have faith and confidence. And only if we have faith and confidence in what? Okay, a lifestyle of how to be a good Buddhist, okay, how to be a good Buddhist. And if you have faith and confidence, if you live like a good Buddhist, it'll be good. And then what would that person do? That person will start looking for a good teacher. In other words, a good counselor, a good guidance. Without that confidence, he wouldn't look for the good teacher or a good counselor or good guidance. And once he get a good teacher, then from that person, he'll be learning. What does he learn? Okay, about precepts, morality, and all about anything that you can learn, sutta, learning, listening, reading, exercising, and so on and so forth. And through that, once you have learned all the studies, that saga aspect, how to budget and how to share, is step on next one. And eventually, if you feel those full, you will have intelligence enough how to run your life without hurting and harming anybody, and living in harmony with the neighbors and society. So that is the aspect. And even that too, everything, if you look at it, cause and effect and cause and effect and cause and effect. Because of the faith and confidence. Okay? You look for a teacher. And because of looking for a teacher, the teacher will teach you how to do the morality aspects and the learning aspect. And from there, once you got a whole information from learning and morality, then you start learn how to do budgeting and sharing and giving. And then you will have a set of intelligence in you which is called pinya. When you have that, it's cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. In other words, this causal relationship is shown in everywhere and everything in Buddhism. Because nothing is out of nowhere, nothing is without a cause, nothing doesn't fall from the sky or poof, pop up. So we are talking about cause and effect in a various way, and he gives cause and effect in a very different two sets. One who wants to bhavana. Bhavana is something that will attain nibbana. And here another set is, if you really look at it, what it is. It is about, precept is sila. Okay? Saka is generosity, giving. In other words, sila and dana. Sila and dana will cause you to be reborn in a better existence, in a human realm, in a celestial or deva realm. Dana and sila will produce a human existence, will produce the celestial existence. So bhavana will take you to the end of all physical and mental suffering. So two different sets, two different paths. And for the majority, Buddha taught dana and sila under the heading of saga. Okay, I think that will cover and give us a whole understanding of what we do, where it's going, and everything is intricate relationship of cause and effect conditions. So we are living on in this world, and there, the main topics, what we said is called three major destructive period of human world. Okay. First of all, we live, and there comes a time. Okay, Buddha already gave to develop a certain habit, a certain good habit, to be able to reborn in a human world and Deva realm, and also the end of all suffering. But at the same time, we all know there's lots of bad habits are formed, bad habits. Okay. Only a few follow exactly, strictly to the Buddha's teaching, but most of the people develop lots of habits. Drinking, partying, and so on and so forth. Many, many, many bad habits. We don't have to go into detail. So whenever these bad habits are formed, in a Dhamma walk, in other words, mental defilements, you develop huge amount of mental defilements. What? Lobha, greed, dosa, anger, aversion, moha, delusion. When these things are formed, bad mental habits. And whenever these bad mental habits are formed, a certain thing happen. Because there's a law of cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. And majority of the people are practicing and having and used to the bad habits. And whenever these bad habits are formed, there are various degrees of bad habits, of course. The first one is Dhamma. Dhamma is one kind of bad habit. That means people hurt people, harm people. Okay, they do unfair thing, unjust thing. Unfair thing, unjust thing. Everybody do it. I'm that guy. I couldn't take it. Let me give a little bit of nudge or a snug, push it down the hill, and so on and so forth. Not a major one, but little things. But everything is a little bit of jealousy, about envy, about conceit, about pride, about slander. Small things, but every day one's doing to the other, one doing to the other. That's called Dhamma. And then the next one comes, it's called Visama Loba. Visama Loba is one practice to an extreme. One practice to an extreme. They live to the extreme. What extreme it is for self-interest, for personal interest. You will go all out. Doesn't care who got hurt or who got harmed. It is not just a little jealousy and envy. It is simply, he doesn't care about anybody but me only. And to achieve that, will do and will commit anything. That is called Visama Loba. Wicked desire, wicked greed. That's a second level people perform. And the third one is Miccha Dhamma. Miccha Dhamma. So, Miccha Dhamma is one is in here. Miccha is wrong. Okay, Miccha Dhamma. What it is in here people are totally doing that most people won't do. Most people won't do, most people won't commit. Out of the norm, out of the society, out of the acceptance of the society, that kind of thing. Just to put a few examples, having sexual natures between father and daughter, son and mothers, and so on. Just to get it. This is just normal, but still you hear and there, and you can hear those kind of things. That is kind of this, just an example to put it. Totally wrong. Okay, Miccha is wrong. Dhamma. Okay, the wrong Dhamma. So you can project it and what kind of things that people don't normally do and will do. As an example, serial killer. They relish killing for no reason. It is not over. Strangers they will torture, they will kill. They will imprison. Okay, we hear in TV news now and there. Kidnap a child and bury it under the house in the basement, and 10, 20 years, rape, have children, and so on. These are not ordinary people doing it, and these are called Miccha Dhamma. And there's another one to give the specific there. One, it is the great untruth. Okay, the great untruth. Not true, it's untrue, and it's not just simple, it's great. It is not just that you are going and spreading a little bit of rumors, gossiping around your neighbor and things like that. But it spread a news, okay, something that's bad and something that's a negative effect on a country level, on a world level. Okay. Nowadays it is quite common to know in one word, fake news. fake news is you put a fake news, but not just between a family and the other, or your neighbor, or just your work gossiping. Fake news to affect a mass of people. And that kind of thing have a very heavy destructive power. Fake news. And these are the bad habits, 3 levels. It shows up 3 levels. First one is simply Dhamma, okay, not according to the truth. Second one is wicked greed, wicked desire. And the third one is simply totally wrong Dhamma, okay, exceptionally wrong Dhamma. And people are starting to practice these things. And you will find with time, more and more you hear, more and more you hear, more and more, and these become very common. Eventually, even these very rare instances become a common instances. These kind of things go. And that is how the people live. The people live, and there are periods and periods and periods, different periods. There are certain periods people are really morally endowed, and they live a very pious society and live there. And sometimes it is not, and sometimes it changes up to the point of wickedness. It changes with time, all the time, but the time is not the one changing. We humans are the one who's changing all the time. That is the facts of existence. And the Buddha said we are on the downward trend. Downward trend is every day become worse and worse and worse and worse, the way we live with the so-called bad habits. Okay. We are on the downward trend. And if you look at it, one thing is one should be practicing like that, and eventually that kind of living will create to the world in which there is a chaos and war in life, in a human society. And these wars are not just local, it is on a vast scale of the humanity. As an example, World War I, okay, World War II. Okay. This World War I, World War II, let's take one World War II. World War II is, let's put it for 5 years or 6 years, around that period. That is the period of World War II. And that period is called Kappa. Okay. Kappa is the destructive period. Kappa in a precise meaning is called a segment of time in which major destructions are made. That's called kappa. Okay? And there are 3 kappas, 3 destructive periods. One destructive period is all started from our bad habits, and we grow and we grow and we grow, and even the lies become so common, it become pervasive, go throughout the world, and eventually these war happen. And these kind of war, major war, will happen, and each segment is called kappa, okay, or destructive period. And in his teaching, eventually we will have one war. He said one war, which will last only 7 days. It will last only 7 days, that war. In that war, people will use weapons of, and nowadays, so the words are quite easy for me, weapons of mass destruction. They will use that kind of a word. Good. That weapons they will use, it is so dangerous and so powerful, it will wipe out most of the human races. And it will only last 7 days when that war happens. That's, didn't say Third World War, but it said the final war. And that is the one destructive period, basically war. Okay? Not simple local war, world war. that will happen, and that will wipe out mostly, but there still will remain some. A few will remain. And when a few remain, these few remain, take a great remorse out of it, and they will start living, okay, the best that they could with non-violence and retrain. And the human society will be the uptrend again. They will start working on and become better and better and better and better. And then at one point, they will start doing bad things and go down, up and down. It goes cycle round and round and round and round, the samsara. The good worlds and the bad worlds, the good worlds and bad worlds, not a sharp. It's a gradual process in a circle going around. And that is one destructive event or period, war. But look at it, it's simply war doesn't arise. Causes, 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 causes. These causes are what? From the way we live and the habits we form. A series of causes, and it escalates, and eventually war will happen. That is one destructive period, or one kappa. K-A-P-P-A. And then there's another one. And everything arose out of this bad habits. Okay, first of all, bad habits. And in bad habits we are so, self-centered and live only for the me, for our benefits, personal benefit, personal convenience. And we do things, but not to the point of the wicked way or totally wrong way, but still for your own comfort and interest and pleasure you live. And when we live there, one thing happened. What happened is, naturally, the world, in a physical, natural world, it goes in cycle. What is going in cycle is there are cold period, there are hot period. There are totally dry period, there are totally frozen period. In other words, there will be ice age, and there will be just water covering up, and it will be dryness. This is the natural order, natural universe, natural process. It goes in a process. Again, in a cycle. It goes in cycle. But what happened was, we are not talking about the natural world. We are talking about the human world. And we human come in, and based out of our own greed and comfort and self-interest and self-convenience, the way we live created the escalation of the climate, imbalance of the climate. Nowadays, again, it's easy. Climate change happening. The polar caps ice are melting, and so on and so forth. Don't have to go in details. Everybody knows about it. In other words, we human contribute to escalate that natural process very fast. That climate change will happen. And due to that climate change, what will happen is the crops that we grow will not. There will be very little. And there's food will be very rare and starving. No distribution left. People will be rationing, people will be fighting, will be killing for food. And starvation will arise. And that will also wipe out a lot of the humans from the world. That is the second kappa, major destruction. What? Starvation, food. The first one is war, the second one is starvation. It will come. Of course, naturally it changes. When it changes with the evolution and the climate gradual change. But this change is due to our human indulgence on the personal comfort and pleasure. That's why. That's the second destruction. Or second major event, or kappa. And the third one is, according to the way it explained, some of you or most of you might be a little bit difficult to understand. But I'll put it first of all straight out as it's being put it in, and then I'll explain later how it is and what it means. First of all, we live in this human races, okay? We are human realm. Just like that, there are dimensions in which we cannot see, we cannot hear. There are other worlds, okay? Other worlds mean, let's call it Deva world. Deva world. Deva world is beings, they have very much more powerful than the human. Okay. And also, they live in the same kind of a setting. They are the good guys and they are the bad guys. Okay. We termed it the bad guys demon, or demonic beings. And the good guys, we call it celestial being. And they are just like us. Even though they are in a different realm, different thing, we cannot see, we cannot hear, they also live in this world of mental defilements, lobha, dosa, moha, conceit, pride, jealousy, and so on. So whenever the world is evolving as usual and normal, under normal set of times, these celestial beings, okay, can manage to keep these demonic beings in balance and in state. So in other words, the demonic guys, they cannot, they do not rebel, they cannot fight against. The good guys can manage it quite well because law and order is in place. But when the world is going on like this, with starvations and with wars and with all the bad habits and stuff like that, even our actions affects that kind of realms as well, demonic realm. And in there, these demonic beings, they start to rebel and fight, and these celestial beings cannot manage, they cannot put law and order anymore, and everybody entrenched to their territory, and the other guys have a heyday. So when the other guys have a heyday, these demonic beings create a lot of problems and troubles and chaos and danger in the human world. Okay. And through that, a lot of humans will die because of the demonic being interference. So in here, don't think that like in a movie or like with a big fang and then just indestructible and just coming and sucking blood out and demon, like people in general imagine that way. Okay, beings that we cannot see, beings that we can see. What they do is they also have power. Okay, the power to speed up a certain process. Good guys knows how to speed up good process. Also bad guys also know how to speed up some bad process and phenomenon in the world. The way I see it is there will be a lot of mutation of virus, germs and bacteria. And these are being escalated in such a way, and this is from the effect of the energy of the demonic beings. So there will be new viruses coming, new germs coming, new bacteria coming, antibiotic-proof kind of germs coming. And they can affect both physically and mentally the people. In other words, there will be disease and disease and disease, physical disease and mental diseases happening that we cannot even manage, and it will and it can wipe out a lot of humans from this world. So in other words, This is, you can call it disease and illness, but in the scripture, it is the act of these demonic beings. What they do is they created a very unfriendly, toxic environment for us, and we will be wiped out mostly. So these are the 3 kappas, and there are specific sutra, okay, about 3 or 4 or 5. Again, I don't read, I don't know, and I don't know where the book is, but I have a very good sutta. I listen, I learn, I memorize, and I live. And from that, I am sharing back to you. I'm not reading any book. In fact, they have the very specific, there are about 4 different sutras. From that, our teachers combine and put this little piece. The 3 major destructive periods or events of the world, of the human world. Again, if you look at it, nothing really arises out of anything. Nobody is creating it. It is all cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. A chain link, and we are leading. We are leading to the directions where we are heading. Nobody is pushing us there. It is our own habits. Okay? Bad habits, creation of multiplication of mental defilements from the majority of the people that is riding there. So this 3 kappa will wipe out most of the humans, and a few will remain, and a few will remain, and they will remorse, and they will rebuild humanity again. That will be the upswing period. So the key point to know is, these are all the stories and events and sutra. One thing to know is, it starts with saddha and it ends with pinya. And for the majority of the human, have faith and confidence, okay, in the wholesome living. And if you have faith and confidence in a wholesome living, you will start looking for a guide, a teacher. And the guide and teacher will guide you through some precepts and morality. And then you can learn and study a lot, sutta. And then from that, you will also know how to live, how to budget, and how to share with others. And that whole four collectively will give you a certain package of intelligence, how to live correctly in an all-rounded sense. And that intelligence is called pinya. So that set, we should keep in mind, we should live according to it, and know the danger of the three great destructive events and periods of the world, of human race. So may all of you take heed in the teachings of the Buddha and live the best wholesome life that we could, so that it could create peace within ourselves and in the humanity as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Buddham pujemi. Dhammam pujemi. Sangham pujemi.